Well, welcome back to Focus Today. I'm Steve Johnson, and with us is Don Skundrick. He's a county commissioner. We've had him on a couple times, and the first time I really talked to him was shortly after he became a county commissioner. How long ago was that now?
Well, let's see. It's been 1 year, 7 months, and almost 8 months. So just about 18 months.
Yeah, and let me just ask you: had you had any kind of experience like being a county commissioner before you?
No, I've never been in public office at all. Always been from the private sector. I had some dealings through my business life in working with them, but no, this is entirely different.
Okay, so when we're in a political season, of course, and people say, you know, we need to have people from the private sector to be able to come in and work within government, is that an easy transition for somebody like yourself who's been in private
there's
business?
just a ton of stuff to learn. The process is so much different. And it's interesting because I think I was one of those, and amongst legions of thousands who have said, gee, we need to run government-like business, until we find out that maybe that's not the best idea always. The principles of running a good business it certainly applies to government as well. But your constituency is so much different between customers, even though they're all customers, but when you're dealing with taxpayers and trying to provide services as opposed to providing
a service of some sort.
Well, yeah, or supplies or products. It's entirely different. But it does give you a little basis, like how to deal with people, how to make tough decisions, and those are great backgrounds coming from the private sector. I think one reason a lot of people say we need more, and I would echo that. This is not a slam on career public servants at all. They do some good work. The great thing I like about, I think, folks from the private sector coming and getting involved, they can bring the expertise that they have, apply it, utilize it, and then step aside. No, they're not looking. When I ran for this, I wasn't looking for a job.
Is that right?
Yeah, I wasn't looking for a job. I'd retired. I wasn't looking for a job, so to speak. And so it gives you a different perspective, because I know I'm only going to be here for a short time. I planned on that. And so I can be looking at things even at a larger, higher altitude, and I don't have to worry about necessarily, gee, is it going to affect my re-election campaign or something. So I think that's some of the things. I'm a firm believer in a citizen legislature, if you will, actually set out by our founding fathers. Come, bring your expertise, serve your fellow citizens, do the best job you can, then step aside and go back. In their case, go back to the farm and move on with life. And in our case, it's go back to whatever else one was doing.
Yeah, it seems like you got one extreme. Either those politicians like yourself who come in and say, I want to do this job and then I'll be gone, or those who get in and say, you know what, I'm only going to leave this job kicking and screaming. Well, and I'll be that career politician.
And I can see how that could happen. I mean, at county commissioner level, but the sense of gee, I'm in office now. There's a cachet, if you will. There's a small amount of power depending on the office and such, and you kind of get used to that. And I can see how it could get in. And I've told my wife, for example, I says, don't let me fall into that trap. I mean, make sure. And she keeps me pretty sharp. So
she doesn't wake up in the morning and say, "Good morning, Commissioner."
No.
That's
for absolute sure. So, but I can see that. But I would, like I stated a few moments ago, I really think the best thing is come, give whatever talents that you have to the process, and then step aside and let somebody else, because that way you're getting fresh ideas all the time.
Okay, well, one of the things that's been added to your plate at this point is apparently the governor has appointed you to the Infrastructure Finance Authority Board, otherwise known as the IFA. If that doesn't sound like a government board, I don't know what does. But this has to do with improving public health and safety through like wastewater and drinking water. What is this about?
Well, actually, it's under the umbrella of the Oregon Economic Development Department, and which is known, AKA Business Oregon. And what this particular subset of that does is works with communities in helping and utilizing federal money, some state money, and helping folks deal with such things as wastewater treatment plants, drinking water facilities, etc. So the overall challenge is exactly what you said, to help communities with infrastructure to improve for better health, better safety, and compliance with federal regulations to help solve if for example, if a wastewater treatment plant isn't quite up to snuff, well, then maybe we can provide some loans and bridge funding and such so that community can get into compliance with wastewater laws or safe drinking water laws. And so when infrastructure, it means so many different things, from technology to highways, etc. But this here really does basically concentrate on that. With that said, however, it's a little bit larger role as well. Again, to help communities with public health, okay, but also to help their economic development. So part of the organization deals with community block grants and such. That's a part I probably won't be. Well, I won't be dealing with as much. My focus will be, and this particular board's focus will be, is exactly what you said, to help communities. For example, we just approved, and I'm just brand new to this process. I mean, just absolutely 2 weeks into this. I attended my first meeting, a board meeting by telephone a couple of weeks ago, and they had approved a substantial loan to the city of Myrtle Creek to completely redo their wastewater treatment plant. A substantial amount of money to do that. And one thing I like about it, they do it like a business. In fact, they check the project out, they being the staff, and then the board goes through it to check and make sure that the community, because it's a loan at a real minimal or very low interest rate. However, you still got to pay back the loan. And so they check and make sure through rates if in fact that municipality is going to be able to pay back. It's a revolving loan fund, if you will. So there's quite a bit of homework to do. It's not just say, gee, here you need the money, here it is. It's not that, and I like that. I like the idea that there's absolutely you got to follow up. So
yeah, is this a new board, or is it just that they have people who are members of it and those leave the board and then people like you come in and fill a position?
Well, yeah, actually it was created. It's under, I'd written down some notes here. It's actually in Oregon revised statutes and the way it's set up, all the bylaws and such. And it's been in place for about about 5 or 6 years. There's 9 board members. 6 of them are appointed by the governor, and then they're all voting members, and then 3 members. One is appointed by the treasurer, another one is appointed by the Senate, and another one from the House as non-voting members. And of those 6 appointed by the governor, they come from different segments of the community of the state. For example, my appointment, I'm representing the county's interest. I was actually recommended by the Association of Oregon Counties to be that, and so there's others that represent other aspects around the state. Private enterprise, there's a gentleman from Pacific Power and etc. And so it's a wide spectrum of folks bringing different talents and experiences to the board.
Well, is it your perspective that we do have a water problem of some sort that causes us to have a board like this? Because otherwise, I mean, if everything were perfect, they wouldn't need you guys, right?
Well, no, that's true. Well, the cost of infrastructure is so enormous any longer. So with the growth in population and such, example, let's go back to the Myrtle Creek example I used just a moment or two ago. Here's a relatively small community located on the Rogue River, or the Umpqua rather, that had an old and aging wastewater treatment, and so they're running into 2 problems. Number one is they were not complying with federal standards. They had some issues there, and the size of the facility is way too small. So here's a case of where the problem is they had a structure, it was not capable to do the job, so they had to upgrade. That's from a wastewater treatment plant. From drinking water, over in Coos Bay, for example, they completely redid their fresh water plant, like we have out at the Dove water plant. Same thing, what Medford Water Commission runs. So it provides their citizens with clean.
So you help facilitate that, work with the
in giving funds, look through it,
right.
and providing funds. And if the IFA doesn't provide the funds, they work with other federal agencies helping that community access those funds.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, as you get your feet into more of this, give us an update on how that looks.
I will. I think it's going to be incredibly fascinating. Not that I needed anything more to do, but it was an opportunity to maybe serve and help a little bit more, and also, expands the mind.
That sounds great. Well, Don Skundrick, our guest here on Focus Today. Thanks for being with us. Appreciate that very much. And come back and give us an update.
Okay.
We'll be back with more.
Okay.